Hello there, and welcome back. This is episode 11 of my Realignment 2028 series as the Oakland A's. We are at the All Star break in the 2030 season, just after the All Star break, actually. We, the AL lost to the NL. Our lone representative, Drake Baldwin, went 0 for 3. So there you go. Not very exciting. And Nick Kurtz won the home run challenge, who is a real life player. First round, actually drafted by the Oakland A's, the original Oakland A's, but then traded by the Blue Raiders to the Guardians in exchange for Trent Grisham. So there you go. Nick Kurtz, future home run derby champion. Yeah, so today is the first year player draft. We are picking 31st in the draft. So, yeah, I did make a short list earlier. These are all the guys that I considered throwing in there for the draft combine. And, yeah, just kind of we'll need to see if any of these guys drop to us, how many of these guys drop to us. I mean, some of these names towards the bottom of the list have a decent chance. Also of note, we don't have a third round pick this year because we signed Anthony Volpe, who we had to lose a compensation pick for that. So, so let's just get into it. First year player draft. I'll probably show the first few picks, definitely the first 5 or 6 rounds. I think it went to around 10 last year. We'll have to see kind of how the draft goes, who's interesting and still out there. Pick 31 though. I think this will probably dry up pretty quick in terms of like who's going to be interesting and interesting names that are still out. So, all right, let's go ahead and start the draft, and let's see first who goes in the top 5, I guess. Who would I take if I was drafting first overall? Good question. The OSA mock draft has Tom Dean. He would not be my first overall pick. George Poulin. He would probably not also be my first overall pick. Let's look at the draft pool, and I know Brian Chapelier looked really good. One of those guys that has a 3-pitch mix, but those 3 pitches project to be really good if he actually fulfills his potential. Probably one of these pitchers that is already pretty good. Sean McElroy looks good. John Crozier looks good. Versus one of the batters who I don't think any of them. Yeah, Stephen Gillian's the only one that's with even a 1-star overall currently. A lot of these guys have good potentials and even some good like personalities to go with it. Like Jonathan Byler would be one I'd consider high, but for the first overall pick, I'd go with one of the pitchers that's available. And all 3 of those guys that I think I mentioned, Crozier is projected to go high, Chapelier is projected to go high, and McElroy was the other one, I think. 19. So maybe there's a chance they fall to 31. David Scott was also pretty good as well, if he falls. But let's see who the Houston Astros pick. They do pick Tom Dean, who was projected to go first overall. Okay, let's see. And the Mets at number 2 take Brandon Williamson. I think he was projected, 3rd overall. So far, nothing too surprising. Jimmy Hart's is a little surprising. Rich Ape Johnson, he was one of the names we had thrown on the short list. He was down in number 9. I don't think I had ended up throwing him on anyone in the top 10. I didn't end up throwing in my pre-draft combine list. Just because I figured that they would likely not make it to 31. And a few names after that, too. I know, like, Chapelier, I think, was one that was initially projected to go even higher than that. So, Number 5, yeah, speaking of which, Chapelier goes at number 5, so kind of justifies that decision. All right, so I'm not going to do all of these individual picks, but we'll just have to look and see who drops to us at number 31. Okay, so Jamie Gordon's still out there in terms of projected high picks. Bobby Knight, yeah, I mean, he doesn't look great according to our scout. Charles Williams, I mean, he looks okay. Dan Butler, David Scott was selected, 116. Okay, so Nate Engberg, I know that was a name we looked at, and he seemed interesting. Let's go to the draft pool, and we're going to filter and just see who is shortlisted for us. Okay, so there's a few names that were interesting in this list here. Engberg is one. I know you'd probably prefer to take someone who's a little more developed, like Khalif Oba, or even Matt Rosen potentially. But neither of those guys are like completely wowing me. I do really like the potential of Nate Engberg though. Like he's durable. He already has good catching defense ratings with potentially really good bats to back it up. Durable. Can sign him for underslot. You know, Brian Dupuis was one that also looked really interesting, but he is impossible signability. So I don't want to take him with my first round pick because he will demand something like $9 million to sign with us, no matter where we draft him. So I want that to be, we don't have a third round pick. Can maybe see if he falls to the fourth, because I don't know if I want to take him with the second. I mean, I guess it will depend on how many of these guys are still available as well. Let's go ahead and see batters. Are there any other names? Stephen Gillian was a name that we looked at, I think, and he looks okay. He is already 21, but is a bit developed. He could play an A ball probably. Rosenblum. Yeah, he looks good as well. Okay, so, and then pitchers. Were there any? Yeah, a lot of the relievers are still out there. It seems like, the top names, it looks like, were taken pretty highly. Yeah. We went Chapelier at 5, McElroy at 9, Horton at 13. Ben Glum was another name we looked at. That was at 22. Asan Smith at 8. Yeah. And Crozier. Crozier was another name at 10. Yeah, those all would have been guys I would have been happy to see fall, but not surprised that they didn't. So, I think our pick here, I'm really intrigued by the potential of Nate Engberg. Like, you don't usually see catchers come out with this mix of good defense and good offense. Will he fulfill those potentials? I don't know. His development risk is medium, but I'm intrigued by what he has to offer here, and he's probably one of the highest potential players left in the draft. You could argue Stephen Gillian here, but I just am not, like, if he had better power and I'd consider it. If he had better power and eye, though, he probably would have been drafted already. Yeah, I mean, those are things you can improve in the dev lab as well. Like, his offense isn't amazing either, or his defense, sorry, isn't amazing either. Um, yeah, I'm just intrigued by the potential of Engberg, and I think with pick 31, it makes sense to take a swing at someone who's a little bit riskier of a pick. Go for that higher potential. So Engberg is going to be our first round pick. All right, and we'll auto draft it to the next pick and see who's still out there. Dupuis is still out there. I wonder if he'll make it to the fourth. I mean, we are at a point too where, you know, I believe I budgeted for $25 million in draft expenses, so we could afford to pick Dupuis here, even with whatever outrageous offer he's going to demand. I feel like Khalif Oba and Nick Swanson both look interesting, but I think there's a chance they'll be there in the fourth. Yeah, let me see. As we take a look here, as we scan, yeah, Dupuis. Actually, they project us taking Dupuis with the second overall pick. Like, that's kind of funny. Yeah, as we don't have a third round pick, we're looking for Oba. We're looking for Swanson. I don't remember seeing either of those names in there. Maybe I missed it. Okay, so I like both those guys, but not enough to take them at two. Um, so I think that's going to be the play here. Is just yeah. As we go to the fifth, I don't even see him being taken in the fifth round, unless I'm just completely missing. Oh, there's Oba. Okay, so they do have him projected taken in the fifth. So there's a chance he'll drop to four, the fourth round. Bobby Knight still not taking. Yeah, I mean, he is one that I don't know why he was projected that highly. I mean, he must have just had a really bad combine, I'm guessing. There is Keener Gomez. I know he was a name we looked at last year, but not in the second, for sure. Yeah, and no one else is really like wowing me in terms of being already like relatively pro ready. You know, there are some pitchers that do, but those are the guys I talked about, Oba and Swanson. Like, Oba's younger even, but has less of a pitch mix than Swanson does. So I don't know. I think Dupuis is interesting just because he's got good defense and good offense. He's got a little bit of everything. He's a shortstop that is projected to potentially hit for power. You know, he could be a pretty good second baseman or shortstop, probably an elite third baseman with his numbers in the 75 arm. Yeah, he's really interesting, even though he's got impossible signability. I guess the worst case scenario is that we don't sign him, and then we get a comp second round pick next year. So that wouldn't be the worst case. Um, yeah, and I think he's the pick here. Another like high potential upside. All right, as we'll auto draft here. Yes, we are now to the fourth round, and let's see if oh, that's batters, pitchers. Swanson is still available. In fact, he is the only shortlist guy that is still available out of all the guys that I did. I think he's probably going to be the pick here. I mean, we have several pitchers that are like getting close-ish to major league ready, but I feel like you can never have enough good starting pitching. And, you know, other than names like Jonathan Northington, great name, and he looks pretty decent. Our scout suggests Mike Cavanaugh. I'm not a fan of Mike Cavanaugh. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, what is Northington? OSA is not super high on Northington, so I think there's a chance that maybe I can wait around on him. Swanson, on the other hand, yeah, I think I'll take him now. And he's under slot, which is good because we're gonna have to, spend a boatload of money to get our second round pick, whose name I already just forgot. But yeah, Swanson's gonna be the pick in the fourth here. We'll auto draft batters. Let's see. Northington is still out there. I think he's gonna be the pick here in the fifth. I don't see any batters out there that are like really wowing me besides him. Let's look and see if there's any elite defenders out there. Joe Ellis. I mean, he looks decent. I think there's a good chance he still will be around. Yeah, let's go for Northington. I think the offensive ratings are going to be a bigger deal for me than defense at this point, unless there was some elite defender still out there, and I don't see that player really. So Brian Flick also, he is also an impossible signing, so no dice on him. I think Ken Prunty. Yeah, I like Northington. He's got a good mix of stats. His eye's a little low, his power's borderline, but yeah, really good ratings and everything else. His defense is, also borderline. That can be improved. You're not going to get a great overall player, I think, in the fifth round. There's going to be some question marks here and there, so I don't mind that. Northington is fine. Let's see. Holden. Yeah, are there high movement potential guys potentially interesting? And actually, I want to do that just because I care more about the home run rating. I think that's really the more important of the two, I think, to care about in movement. Obviously, you'd want them both to be high if possible, but Nate Lober. Jerry Emerson. I mean, if it wasn't for the low work ethic, I'd be intrigued by him, but And he's impossible signing. Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dog. Leon Abbott is a lefty, low personality stats. But I don't hate him. Bill Kuykendall. Oh yeah, 25 control. That's not ideal. Gabe Darden, 25 control. All right. Let's see. I like Leon Abbott a little bit. I mean, his personality traits aren't amazing. Chris Story, what does he look like? Tell me your story. Cocaine, yeah. That's a nickname right there. All right. Actually, I do really like him. He projects to be pretty solid all around. Um, and he's got high work ethic. Yeah, yeah, let's go with Story. All right, and then Brian Flick was impossible. Do we have. No, I think the picture I was just looking at was gone. It was not Holden. Or Gunter. Gunter. Kevin Felix. I mean, he looks solid as well. I think out of these guys, I might. Gunter, though, is already 21. Movement 45. I don't super love potential. Movement 55 is fine. I think it'll be one of these pitchers. I just got to decide which one. I don't think it's going to be Holden. It's between Felix and Gunter. Felix does have high int. And Gunter has higher movement potential. Already at a 40 movement, which should play okay at A ball. Only has a 3-pitch mix. Only 2 of those pitches are somewhat developed. So he might be more of a reliever. Versus, Felix also only has 2 pitches. All right, let's go with Gunter. Yeah. He's a little more developed and has higher movement potential. So, we'll go with him. 8th round, as Felix is still out there. I mean, we could take him back to back if we want. Aiden Roberts looked kind of interesting, but we did already draft a catcher. Alberto Gonzalez, don't love the personality. Doesn't really have good defense. Batting draft. Sure. Yeah, not a lot of 3.5 or 3-star players left in terms of bats. Martinez. Yeah. let's just go with Felix. Miranda. Yeah, I don't hate that pick necessarily. Yeah, this is where I think we might look to cut and do the rest of the draft off stream because Lee Grammelspacher. I mean, not only is that a fantastic name, Lee Grammelspacher, he's got really good defensive ratings as well, and high work ethic and int. So, sure, why not? He is 21 already, but I don't particularly mind unless there's someone out there just with some insane like power potential, which Rick Molly kind of has insane power potential. Yeah. He's an interesting name. But I like Grammelspacher, just for the sake of the name. Oh, it was the 80 power guy's gone. All right. Rest of the draft I'm going to do off camera here. I'll show you what our final draft ends up looking like, and then we'll start looking at potential trades maybe. Potentially. I might want to sim a little bit more. I'll probably start looking around though, just because. Yeah, just because. But yeah, I'll show you the final draft results once I'm done with that. So see you soon. All right, so here's what our draft ended up looking like. I don't remember. I think Grammelspacher was the last pick I made on camera. Aiden Roberts also looked good. So we ended up drafting several catchers in this draft. But yeah, some pitchers, some guys who look decent. Kind of guys that are worth taking a flyer on, all the way down to TJ Much More in the 20th round. Again, largely drafted based on name. You think he isn't much, but he is much more. So we'll see how much he contributes to us in the minor leagues. I'll go ahead and everyone but those two add to my prospects list. And I also haven't looked yet to see negotiations because if you remember, Dupuis is going to demand some insane amount of money. So we do have $25 million slotted for the draft this year. So let's see here, because everything else. Okay, so he needs a bonus significantly above 5.5 million. Honestly, not as bad as I was expecting. So if I do some rough mental math, I'm going to offer him, I don't want to offer him like twice of what he wanted, although I could. Let's see. What's 1.5 times what he wants? Something like that. That would be about 750, something like that. We'll just round up and call it an even $8 million bonus. Yeah, hopefully he'll sign for that. Worst case scenario, he doesn't sign and we get a comp pick next year. So I'm okay with that if that happens. Just don't want to pay more money than I have to. Let's see. Normal. He wants close to his demand, so we'll just take this down a little bit. 2.2 million. Submit. Easy. He only wants 380 million. We'll do an even 300,000. And extremely hard. We'll just offer what they want. Okay, so we ended up. I didn't look to see how much our total was, but that's about 11.6, almost 12 million. So still coming in like at half our budget. I mean, we didn't have a third round pick, so that's kind got a lot to do with it too. So yeah, that's the draft. Um, Now comes the time when I need to start thinking about if and how we're going to make moves to improve this team. Yeah, I as I recorded this, it's the next day from yesterday's section of the draft. So just kind of going over in my head, pitching has definitely been a bigger strength of this team than offense. Um, that said, bullpen ERA is a little high, probably about average this year. If we could get another reliable bullpen arm, since Sinja has not been great, that would be ideal. Starting wise, our starting pitching has been pretty dang good this year. Second ERA in the majors. You know, I'm pretty happy with what all of these guys have done. Bautista still, you know, only has 3 starts, so we'll see if he continues to put up pretty good numbers like this. We still do have Jackson Ferris, who can slot in, Noth, who was, I don't know if I'd trust Noth, but Bello, who has started several games and did okay. I mean, is probably good enough to be a 5th starter. Ideally, we'd want, someone like Bautista as the 5th starter, but that said, if we could go out and acquire an elite starter, we might do that. But definitely the offense needs to be the focus here. And the only positions that I can see that are for sure locked up for the future are catcher and shortstop and second base, because Volpe's slotted in to be our regular second baseman. He's been pretty underwhelming this year so far. I'm hoping that part of that is just rust working through, playing at a new position for most of the year. Santana, who we have on the injury list, will actually be back in 4 days, although he'll have some rehab time as well. But yeah, those are really the only spots that I have 100% locked up. Siani's been good in center field, but is starting to decline a little bit. And how much longer is he going to maintain these elite ratings, which are really the main thing keeping him playable? Perdomo's been okay. Keeshaw's been okay. A lot of guys that have just been okay. So we probably use another infielder. We really don't have a good DH type, But I know when I looked before at the trading block, there were no names that really stood out to as really impactful names. Connor Norby was the closest. I'm always hesitant to make these kind of trades in division, although the D-backs are currently, not competing for the division, so Brent Rooker's having a good year, but had 2 kind of mediocre to bad years before that, so do we want to trade for him and hope that he'll keep it up? What I'll probably look to do is just go shopping on my own with some of these teams that are pretty well out of the playoff race, ideally teams that are looking to be to rebuild, someone maybe in the NL Central. I know we traded with the Cubs during the off season. Maybe they'll have some guys that they would be willing to give up. I don't think Pete Crow Armstrong will probably be on the table, but you never know. Obviously, we'd love to have him. Someone like a Pete Crow Armstrong type, where they could come in and be really impactful. They're in their mid to late 20s, still kind of within our window. Ideally, someone that's signed to longer than a 1-year contract. Someone that would be a good addition for more than just this year, ideally. So I'll have to look around and see what's out there. Definitely, if there are interesting trades, I'll let you know. It might be worth it to just sim a little closer to the trade deadline. Maybe more guys will become available. But yeah, I'll definitely let you know if and when I decide to make some trades. what those trades are going to be. So I will see you soon. All right, so I don't think I'm going to make this trade, but it's very, very tempting, and I'm still thinking about the details on this because it is a lot to give up, um, both in terms of players and the amount of talent that's involved. But Corbin Carroll, um, who is still playing well, age 29. It's an in division trade. He's had 3 good seasons the last few seasons. He's also got a team option for 2031, so we'd have him for the rest of this year and next year. But we'd be giving up Sinja, fully cutting bait, moving on from him. We'd be giving up Wade Shelley, who's been a little disappointing this year, but still only 23. Um, 2 good-looking prospects in Chang Ho Cho, who's done well in rookie ball so far, but again, he's only 18. Craig Holman, he was a 4th-round draft pick, but has been a bit underwhelming so far in rookie ball, so I don't necessarily mind trading him. But then also losing Perdomo and Cooper Kinney, who's actually started to hit a little bit in the minors, and that's promising because, he has really struggled. He was one of the best players on our team. I mean, the WAR is not amazing, but he, yeah, it would be sad to trade him. The other name that they were interested in throwing in was Keishal. Well, there were a few names in there that I could potentially throw in, but Clevenger, I'm not looking to move. Davison, Christian Cairo, I wouldn't mind moving, but again, if I could make this trade without giving up Perdomo or Shelley, I probably would, but I don't know. It's a tough, call. I think the money's not really an issue. He's getting paid a lot, but he's Corbin Carroll. That's understandable. And we have budget space to take on his salary too. So I don't think I'm going to make this trade, but this is the type of trade that I said I wouldn't make. But I also didn't think that I was going to be able to swing any kind of deal for Corbin Carroll, so I don't know. Yeah. The problem, too, is that the Diamondbacks' focus is still win now. There's a lot of teams with win now focus. I don't know why the Diamondbacks are, because they're, 10 games under 500 currently. I would think that they would be sellers and not buyers, but who knows. Yeah, I'm going to keep looking around and see if there's another trade that makes more sense, one that doesn't involve losing quite this much. I think, would this make our team better overall? In the short term, yes. In the long term, I don't know. Losing 2 good prospects, Perdomo, who's been okay to start the season, but we don't currently have a fill-in at third base with Cutter Coffee still hurt for 3 months. Yeah, so I'm going to keep looking around. We'll see. We'll see what's out there. All right, I think this is a trade that makes a bit more sense to do. These 3 are all 3 guys that I'm kind of ready to move on from. Sinja's the saddest one, I think, because he was a great reliever for us for 2 years, but he's put up good numbers in AAA, really bad numbers at the major league level. He's likely arbitration eligible next year, and he's 27, so I mean, is he going to get better or worse? Probably worse. I don't know. It's It's tough. Same with Montero, because Montero had a great season for us last year. He was a starter. He put up 2.7 WAR, but again showed some regression in the off season. Actually, towards the end of last season with a velocity drop, and throughout last season, and his ratings and his performance so far. Putting up an over 5 ERA in AAA so far across 10 starts. Not a huge sample size, but not encouraging. Definitely, only gave him one start in the majors, but yeah. Again, he's 26, about to turn 27. I am ready to move on. And Griffin Burkholder, almost 25, and he's a guy that we got off of waivers and has just never shown. I mean, he had a great year in AAA last year, but again, like this year, kind of mediocre numbers, limited playing time in the big leagues, didn't really put it together. So these three guys, you can argue maybe a change of scenery will do them good. They'll turn things around. I guess that's what the Astros would be hoping for here. Gian Zapata, he was a Rule 5 pick for them. He's put up 2.6 WAR so far this season, on pace for 4 WAR, good OPS, still only 24, still would be under team control for a while, I believe, after this. I'd have to look and see, but, where's Zapata? Oh, first name. That always throws me off. Yeah, so he wouldn't even be arbitration eligible until 2032, at which point, we'd have to think about paying him, but we'd have a few years of him for sure if we wanted him. And relatively low risk. I mean, you could argue maybe these guys are all kind of borderline big league players at the moment, where I don't necessarily mind losing them. I think Zapata gives a great upgrade. Like, he can play right field or probably DH. We'd maybe lean towards right field. I don't know. Yeah, I think this makes sense. And yeah, we're going to do it. And so, as we go back to the Oakland A's and look at our lineups, probably Quintero gets sent down. I'll have to look and see. The other thing too is he is a lefty, I believe. Yeah, and I did look at his splits, and he's much better against righties than lefties. So we'll want to keep up guys that hit lefties well, because they likely won't play him there. But yeah, which Quintero, out of the outfielders we have, you can maybe make a case for Mooney as well, who's currently our DH. Yeah, I'll figure that out, and I'll let you know what I decide. Alright, so it is Mooney that ends up getting sent down. He had just had, mediocre splits against lefties and righties, and it was between him and Quintero just offers better defense, so that was kind of the tiebreaker there. So our lineup currently, Zapata slots in at DH against righties, and will bat second in the order because he does hit them quite well. Yeah, Gamble actually leading off for us currently against righties. He's been a pleasant surprise so far. I'd forgotten we got him in the Kyle Schwarber trade. He was our, kind of him and Danny Lopez, who was more of a throw-in than anything, as just kind of salary relief, I guess, that for Kyle Schwarber, like we retained part of his salary and ended up saving like $4 million versus straight up cutting him, and then Gamble has turned into, still over very limited sample size, but I'm interested to see how he kind of rolls in his utility role. um, and then, yeah, against lefties, Zapata actually hits them well enough versus Quintero to play right field. I think the slight boost or slight drop in defense is okay when compared with the positive OPS plus versus Quintero. So we're gonna roll with that. I do. Yeah, I'm curious how this team is going to perform. I don't know, like, what level of trade crazy should I go. I think that's a good one to start with, and then we'll play out the next week or so and see, week or two maybe, and see kind of how things go, where we stand as we get closer to the trade deadline. So we'll go ahead and sim those, and I'll let you know kind of where my mind is at after that. So yeah, I'll see you soon. All right, quick injury update. Adrian Santana finally back from injury and had a brief rehab stint in the minors as well. So he'll slot back in at everyday shortstop. Volpe shifts over to second. I want to keep Gamble in the lineup, so he has slotted in at left field for now. He actually has quite good ratings at left field, so shouldn't really lose too much defensively there. Yeah, also interesting to note, our splits are kind of crazy between right and left-handed pitching. If you notice, I have Sanford, Griffin, and Martinez as bench players against righties, and all of those guys could be starters against left-handed pitching. Martinez especially. Sanford, I don't know how sustainable that is, given that he is a left-handed hitter, so I guess we'll see. He's going to keep getting playing time here and there, although less so now that Santana's not hurt. But yeah, Connor Griffin has a 130 OPS. I'll just look at each of these guys individually with the splits. Yeah, 35 OPS versus right-handed hitters, and then 130 against left-handed hitters. So, I mean, that keeps him in the lineup here. Keyshaw has much better numbers, I think, too. Slightly better, yeah, 131 versus 85 OPS. And then definitely want to highlight Steven Martinez, who, very limited sample size. He's only had 94 plate appearances, but look at this. Just 27 OPS against right-handed hitting, and then 249 against lefties with an OPS 1.308, 6 home runs in 30 at-bats. Like, he's a monster against left-handed pitching. And I mean, the ratings would seem to kind of back that up a bit. Like, he has much more power against left-handed pitching, so he's definitely, like, he went from a guy that was maybe on the borderline of getting sent back down after getting called up due to injuries, but if his back keeps up the way it is, like, he's going to be like all-time DH against left-handed pitching no matter what, or even outfield if there's injuries or whatever. But anyway, standings wise, we are currently tied for first place, 6-4 in our last 10. We had a good series against the Blue Raiders where we took 3 of 4, and then have lost 2 of 3 against Cleveland. So kind of a mixed bag, but yeah, still maybe need to make 1 or 2 trades, I think, is where I'm at. Probably on the same par of Zapata, who has come in and continued to do quite well. The WAR is not amazing, but still very, very limited sample size over 6 games. But early returns are encouraging. So, yeah, we'll have to see as my air conditioning kicks on in the background. We'll have to see how the next few games go, and then I'll kind of make a decision on how we want to do the trade deadline. So, yeah, we'll play the next series or two and then we'll look around. Okay, so I know I brought his name up earlier as a what if kind of player, but I think this is a trade that we're actually going to swing here. I mean, it's definitely a win now trade, but I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. The Cubs are struggling this year. They're 39 and 56, likely not making the playoffs at 12 and a half games back behind the Cardinals. Um, and yeah, Pete Crow Armstrong, obviously, still an elite defender. I'll show you his exact stats in just a second, but what we're giving up to get him is a lot. I mean, highlighted by Cheng Ho Cho, who, even though he's not listed as one of our top prospects, I would consider him one of our top prospects. He's, got 3.5 star potential, had a really good year, pretty good year in rookie ball, but obviously he's got, not great personality, still 18 years old, still really raw. Like, is he going to fulfill this full potential? I don't know. But that's the chance you take. We also give up Craig Holman, who was our 4th round pick in 2028. He's had 2 years now in rookie ball and has been kind of underwhelming. Some of the BABIP luck maybe didn't go his way. But I don't know if he's going to develop to his full potential. I mean, he looks okay, and he projects to be okay. So I don't necessarily mind losing him. And then Marin is another solid prospect, like reliever who could come in probably pretty much major league ready or very close to being major league ready. Has put up great numbers. 10th round pick in 2029. Yeah, I mean, he is just a reliever, but if he fulfills that potential, he could be a pretty good reliever. And then at the big league level, we've got Josh Noth, who's done okay in our bullpen so far this season. Made some starts for us last year. He was a Rule 5 pick. He's just kind of, not a talent that I necessarily mind giving up. And obviously Siani, I don't mind seeing him go. Like, in exchange for Armstrong, he has been kind of filling the role of like defense first center fielder and doing a good job. His defense is still an elite level. His offense has maybe taken a slight step back this year, projected for slightly less WAR. He is 31. He's going to keep declining a bit. And then Chase Petty has been a bit underwhelming this year. ERA over 5, over 37 innings, and then his time in AAA hasn't incredibly wowed me either. And he's only signed through 2030, and so he's someone that I probably wouldn't like to bring back anyway. So all in all, like, it ends up being a pretty good amount to give up, but what we're getting in return is Pete Crow Armstrong. He signed through 2033, which is still only his age 31 season because he's only 28 years old. Still owed a lot of money, but I think we're at a point where we can afford it, and still an elite defender. Obviously that's what he's known for, is his defense. And he's still excelling at that. He's currently leading the NL in zone rating, just ahead of Brenton Doyle, and only Marshall Toole for Houston has more as a center fielder, just barely, 13.4. So you get that, and you get pretty solid offense too. He's taken a slight step back offensively this year, but still, good enough offensive numbers to put up a projected 4.4 WAR this year, which is pretty well in line with what he's done the last 2 years. He's just a very consistently good player. He is an immediate improvement to our team over Siani, who had the defense but not necessarily the hitting. He signed long term. I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to give up. It's a lot. But yeah, I think this is the type of trade that makes sense right now, as kind of a win now trade. We're still not giving up any of our top prospects or any of the guys that are really close to being major league ready. Those pitchers, I thought about including Cooper Kinney in there, but I can't quite bring myself to pull the trigger, especially since he's finally starting to look potentially turn it around to AAA. Could maybe see a call up back to the big league soon. And someone like Alex Mooney, I'd like to see turn it around. Like, he could maybe be included in this trade, but yeah, I think this makes a whole lot of sense for both sides. Cubs get back some good prospects, some solid major league contributors, and I get back Pete Crow Armstrong, who's gonna instantly be, one of the best, if not the best, overall center fielder in Major League Baseball. So I'd be interested to see by WAR. I think Julio Rodriguez might have more WAR. Michael Harris for the Braves. Beyond that, like, it's PCA is definitely up there. So, and as a Cubs fan, in real life, I wouldn't mind getting him either. So, I think the Cubs fans would not be happy about this trade, but I think it's a trade that makes sense for them to make at this point in where things are at. Start building towards the future. So we're going to complete this trade. And players are disappointed to see Siani leave, but the fans are happy that we acquired Pete Crow Armstrong. Yeah, I can imagine that being the case. And he will slot in as our everyday center fielder, likely playing, let's see, over... Shelley does have better numbers against lefties. So let's do this. I still want him playing. Shelley can play every other game against lefties. And then obviously we always want him out there for his defense in center field. Yeah, it's a very exciting move, I think. And against righties, he'll move up to hit probably third in the order. I think I'll do fifth and have Perdomo move up to hitting third. Okay. So that'll be another big trade. I want to kind of see how things go again for another week or so and see if there's any other obvious holes that we need to fill. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this team does. So we'll keep simming. Okay, so just a 1-for-1 trade here. Just a bit of pitching depth to bolster our bullpen here. Trading for Ryan Fernandez, who's had a really good season so far for the Mets. Almost 2 pitching WAR, ERA sub 2, and it's a little bit of a fluky season based on what he's done in the past, but still not like, obviously the FIP is way down, but he's put up sub 100 FIP in all but this brief stint with the with Cleveland. Every other team has been sub 100, so I feel like it's a trade that makes sense. He is a pure rental. We could maybe look to extend him. We're giving up Alex Mooney, who's a guy that probably wasn't coming back after this year. He started off great in 2028, took a step back in 2029, and then really hasn't done much so far this year in either the majors or AAA. So, yeah, I don't mind trading him for some pitching depth in the bullpen. Fernandez is hurt for one more week, so we won't actually get to see him play until after the trading deadline, which, by the way, we are 56 and 47. Still doing pretty well, 5-5 in our last 10. Now one game up in the division. It's going to be a tight race, I think, till the end of the year. But yeah, we'll go ahead and make this trade and probably get close to the trade deadline. I don't know how many more trades I'm going to look to swing before the actual deadline. So we'll see. As players are disappointed to see Alex Mooney leave, but you know, there are still more than a few capable captains to step in to fill the leadership that leaves with him. So yeah, what can you say? Sad to see him go, but it was about time, I think. Okay, so it is July 31st, the trading deadline. We are 58 and 49, still just a one-game lead in the division. You know, it's... I don't know what much else I can do or should do at the moment. There's a few interesting names out there. You know, Connor Norby is one. I know I've looked at him before. Angel Martinez for the Mets is another. Both these guys would be pure rentals, only signed through 2030, and the price is just a little too high. I think, you know, they would want to do a straight up trade, something like Wade Shelley for Martinez, and I've tried to find a few ways to like make this work with other players, but you know, they really want Shelley, and I don't want to give up a 23-year-old for a 28-year-old rental for half a season. You know, I don't know if Shelley's going to turn out to be, you know, anything great, but I feel like it's worth keeping him around just in case. So yeah, kind of same deal with Connor Norby. I kind of explored trading for him a little bit, because really, like, the pitching still looks fine at the moment. Like, you know, starters ERA is first. We just traded for a little bit of bullpen help. But both of our trades have kind of started to slump a little bit. Zapata, like, we traded for him for his great OPS, and he's now putting up an OPS sub 100. That's not great. Again, fairly small sample size, but we'll see. And then Armstrong has struggled to start his tenure with us. At least at the plate, he's still putting up great numbers defensively. So, yeah. So, oh, and I don't think I ever mentioned, at some point I did bring Christian Cairo up, who was, you know, slugging at the AAA level, continued to do so at the big league level. There's been a lot of interest from teams in trading for him. I don't think that's going to happen. He'll likely be on the team for the rest of the year. Also of note, Cooper Kinney, really turning things around, and I love to see that. His July has been amazing. You know, 212 OPS plus in AAA, 1.2 OPS for 1.4 WAR just in July. I think he's getting called up sooner rather than later. I don't know who will be sent down for him, or if I'll wait for an injury. Maybe someone like Connor Griffin, who has been a little underwhelming so far, but still decent, I guess. You know, outfield depth. Could be Keyshaw, who, you know, has done okay. I also want to wait and see at the trading deadline. I don't think I'm going to go out and make any trades, but I will go ahead and sim through the trading deadline here. Also of note, I thought about it, Orion Kerkering for Baltimore, they put him on waivers. Like, I don't think this is realistic, honestly. Like, he's still playing at an elite level, and you go and put him on waivers. Like, I think I'm not going to claim him, even though he would be an obvious improvement to our team, just because I don't. It feels just like exploiting the AI. Like, I don't know why they did this, and I mean, it's likely they'd probably just pull him off of waivers anyway. Like, if that's what they're doing, like, I don't know. I just don't like the feel of that. Just getting a elite level closer for free off of waivers. Like, if it's a prospecty type guy, that's one thing, but yeah, I don't want to do that. So we're gonna go through the trading deadline, and yeah, we'll see if there's any interesting offers out there. I'll kind of do it in real time. I know. Let me see if there's guys that I wouldn't mind trading here. You know, yeah, anyone over age 30 is fine to trade. McFarlane, I would potentially like to keep, but let's see. Mako would be fine. I don't think he's going to have much value. I don't think most of these guys are going to have much value, so I have to see. Desan Hill, I actually called him up. He was our slot in replacement for when we traded for Pete Crow Armstrong. Josh Doth losing. He opened up a roster spot. So Desan Hill has been up and playing pretty well as a long reliever / lefty specialist. We actually didn't really have a lefty in the bullpen before that, outside of Jackson Ferris, who's been pretty good in long relief. Yeah, let's get to the trade deadline. The only offer that I had that was even remotely interesting was Zach Chandler for Perdomo. I mean, he looks decent, but I'm not in a position where I want to make just a pure prospect trade at the moment. So, yeah, let's go ahead and sim forward. See if we get any interesting offers here. We get 0 offers, at least. Guevara and King. King was someone who I had looked at signing in free agency, I think, and has done okay for Kansas City so far, but not anything amazing. Again, I'll just kind of float some trades out there to see, like, Connor Norby. What would you be willing to give up for him? And see, there's not even a single player that. What if I threw in, like, Bello? No. Pete Crow Armstrong. Okay, they do that, obviously. But I just wanted to see, like, how ridiculous are they going to be here? Connor Griffin. I mean, they value him pretty highly. But yeah, it would take Griffin and Shelley to get Connor Norby, which is just not a trade I want to do. So we'll keep going. Let's see. I guess I should define this. I currently just have this all-time set on my team needs, but we'll go ahead and do any hitter, under 30, salary I don't care, major leaguer, good current ability, and we want someone who I guess is a contact hitter or a power hitter. I mean, we want high OPS, but that's not really an option here. I guess I'll do contact hitter. Oh. Trade proposal. All right. So they want us to give up Griffin Jacks, and they offer Eddie Schreffler and Angel Lopez. Yeah, that's a no. So, and I'm not sure why the Phillies are looking to make some weird trades here anyway. As Drew Sommers goes to the Yankees. Yeah, there's our trade for Ryan Fernandez. Brett Lauder to the Mariners. Yeah, that one makes sense if they're looking for more starting pitching depth. Could Cincinnati deal Mark Church? I don't know. Looks like yes, because they already did. He was on our team at one point, yeah. So we claimed him off of waivers and then traded him for Guanipa and Torero. Guanipa was part of the trade for Keyshaw. So interesting chain of events there. Yeah. Yeah, still nothing on the trading deadline that I'm really feeling. Yeah, still no offers. Is Guevara done in Cincinnati? I don't know. Cubs and Braves ready to deal? Okay. Is there anyone else out here that's even like remotely interesting? Wade Meckler. Okay, Matt Olson, Mitsu Kim. I briefly looked at him. I mean, this seems more like an outlier season for him. You know, he's had one season barely above 100, two season below. Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't seen what they would want for him. You know, maybe you could work something out for him. So, like, let's see. If I do this, okay, what about, so they'd be willing to retain 100% of his salary. Okay. Gamble. Yeah, no. Okay. I think, like, any additions we're going to make here is Brent Rooker. I really wouldn't want to trade anything crazy for Brent Rooker. He has been having a good season. But I also am hesitant to trade with, a team that, well, they are not currently competing with us for the division. That would be the Angels. So, I mean, McFarland maybe makes sense, given that he's been, a little subpar this season. I mean, Rooker is having a good season. And I don't know. I just... We'd also want to see if they would retain some of his salary, because I don't want to pay his full salary here, and they're okay with retaining most of it. Okay, so it cost us about $1 million to take a chance on him. $1 million and McFarland, I guess. And he is listed as a first baseman. He's really mostly a DH. He can hit lefties, which is not bad. I think I'm selling myself on it. And McFarland is a guy that probably wasn't coming back, because he is 29. Yeah, just for the sake of making a trade deadline deal, we will get Brent Rooker. I'll have to figure out what the roster is going to look like with Brent Rooker. But yeah. Because I think I'd almost rather bring up Cooper Kinney over Brent Rooker at the moment. But yeah, there's no other really interesting. Yeah, this is not a trade that I wanted to do. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pass the trading deadline. Okay, I will figure out where I want the roster to be here. Let me go ahead and sim one more day, just so we are at August 1st. Lots of player development updates. Gamble's improving. Gerald Zimmerman continuing to improve at AA. That's good. Sharpton, a little bit of a mixed bag. He could potentially see a bump to AAA. Gunter, we just drafted. He's doing okay at A. Yeah, okay. Let me figure out how I want to do this, and I'll let you know where the rosters stand as of August 1st. Okay, so here is the roster as of August 1st. I couldn't resist bringing Cooper Kinney back up. I mean, what did he finish July with? 210 OPS. I mean, that's insane. Yeah, I think he deserves another shot in the majors. I have a chance to waive Brent Rooker and pull him back if he's claimed, so we're going to try to sneak him through waivers and stash him in AAA for now. I don't know if Brent will be happy with that. He might not even, accept a demotion to the minors, in which case we'll reevaluate, but that's kind of what I want to go with for now. And then the other lineups things as they stand, Keyshaw was our starting first baseman. He'll shift to right field with Gamble still at left field, Zapata at DH. Cairo stays up due to his, he's been pretty hot in limited time so far, and B, he's also out of options. I sent down Connor Griffin because he does have options, and he's just been kind of okay. He'll get some time at AAA to hopefully improve a little bit, maybe get some of these potential ratings up a little bit more. I'd like to see that. Maybe I could even cross-train him at some other positions, infield positions. He could probably play a decent second base, or maybe be a backup first baseman. I mean, he could definitely play first with these ratings. So, I don't hate the idea of him becoming like a super utility player type. Let's go ahead and do that while I'm thinking about it. Second base. We'll start with second, and then if he's able to play first, he's able to play first. In terms of other minor league movement, I haven't gone through my top prospects yet. Clevenger, still doing well, still waiting for that little last bit of development to bring him up to the majors. He might see a September call-up. I think that's probably where he stands right now. Karsten Swim also kind of on the verge, although he's been a little disappointing in AAA so far. Ratings-wise, he's kind of on the edge of being able to be called up, I think, if you can see some improvement there. And then in AA, Sharpton, I've been cross-training him at left field, and I think he's done enough in AA. I usually like to go till they get about 2 WAR or like 200-ish plate appearances if they're doing really well. He's kind of done what he needs to in AA. He's got plenty of time there. Should project to be at least decent in AAA, so we'll go ahead and call him up and hope that he continues to develop a little bit more. Probably won't see him in the majors this year, but maybe next year. It looks like DeJesus doing well in AA. He'll stick there for now. Still looking for a little bit more development. Zimmerman also going to stick in AA since he just got called up there. Dingus, struggling a bit at AA. He'll stick there for now. Strapadopoulos, I want to see a little bit more. Well, I say that, but he did reach the 2 WAR mark. He's been solid in AA. He could potentially pitch in AAA. I might wait until September again for that, just to, try to get that little last bit of development there. Davison has been good so far, but he's been hurt for most of the year, so we'll leave him in A+ for now. Diego Lopez started off the year pretty well in A ball, so I bumped him up to A+. He's struggled a bit there, so he'll stick there. Nick Swanson, we just drafted, and he's off to a great start. He could see AA by the end of this year, I think. Maybe sooner rather than later, if he continues this pace. Brady Gerhart, finally bumped up to A plus after spending 3 seasons in A ball. Well, 2.5 ish seasons. Yeah, we drafted him second in the second round, and he's been a little disappointing so far. Doesn't project to be much more than an average player, which you'd hope for better from your second round pick, I think. Um, let's see. Any other highlights? Glenn Colson doing well in A ball so far. He started the year in rookie and got bumped up to A, where he's continued to improve. Not bad at all for a 12th round pick. Hopefully, he continues to develop. Eddie Rainville struggling a bit at A. He still needs to get that control up. That's kind of what I'm waiting on currently. Yeah, his movement went up, his stuff went up, his control went up in March. But again, 30 control, that potential also needs to go up. I want to see that at least 40, ideally 45 or higher, but that's probably asking for too much. And then, if he can get there, then his stuff is pretty electric. But right now he's walking 8, almost 9 per 9, averaging almost a walk per inning. That's not great. So yeah, needs to get things under control. Joe Soliday, yeah, looks like he's been doing well in relief so far. How does he project an A plus? Good. Yeah, I can probably bump him up without losing sleep over it. The relievers, I'm just kind of go more by feel than stats, honestly. Just same with Rod Barantis. He's been good. Started, yeah, he can go up to high A as well. Gunter, we talked about, I think, already. Chris Arden was also in this year's draft. He might get bumped up to A plus. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that now. He's already 22, so. Justin Grant had a good season so far. Might look to bump him up to A plus. Yeah, why don't we do that for the end of the season? He's an 8th round pick who's been pretty consistent. Jorge Vela doing well. He had a good year in rookie ball and got bumped up and has continued to do well in A. Still not high potential or overall really, but he was an international free agent signing and doing okay. Oh, speaking of international free agents, I need to make room in the complex. So anyone who's 18, come on up. All right. And yeah, is he going to be anything? No. Thanks for clogging up the international pool there. All right. Anyone who's 17. Yeah. All right. Mikihiro Tsutsumi. I'll go over him in a second. I got sidetracked from rookie league ball. A lot of these are players we just drafted, so they didn't accumulate any stats yet. Shane Miller doing okay. Oh yeah, he was a guy that had basically no control. Any other highlights here? Brian Dupuis did sign, by the way. I don't think I said that on stream. He accepted our $8 million signing bonus, so he will be playing for us in the minors next year. Steve Fant had a solid season. Like to see those numbers a little higher, but he looks decent. Yeah, and Dozier, I think he lost a bit of potential, actually a lot of potential, but still projecting to be decent, so we'll see. Not a whole lot exciting going on in rookie league level beyond next year we'll get the debut of Engberg and Dupuis. Hopefully those guys will live up to some of their potential. Yeah, Kevin Felix looks decent as well. And then we had Swanson was another high pick who has started off doing well so far. So that's kind of where we stand going into August. And yeah, I'll kind of see how this month goes. Obviously, we're neck and neck with the Angels for the division lead. We would currently be in a wild card spot if, for some reason, we weren't able to win the division, as the AL East kind of just is eating each other alive right now. 4 teams with 57 wins or higher, which would be good enough to win several divisions in the majors currently. Yeah, so the Rangers look to have one of the wild card spots pretty, I wouldn't say locked up, but they're in pole position for sure. I think the best chance, again, I think I said this last year, but I'll say it again, best chance is to win the division. So we'll want to play our division tough. We'll want to, treat these games like playoff games. I know, like, I usually limit the pitches for my pitchers throughout the season just to prevent injury. If things are still tight going into September, these limits will pretty much be coming off, and it will be treating them like full-on playoff games. So, we'll just have to see how August goes. I'm excited to see how our new trade deadline lineup looks, so stay tuned. It is August 16th. August has gone pretty well so far. 10-4. Unfortunately for us, Robbie Snelling is hurt. He'll be out for 3 weeks. Not the absolute worst scenario. What it does mean is that we have a hole in the starting rotation. I have moved Jackson Ferris to the starting rotation, and he's done well in his 2 starts so far, so I think I'll leave him in there for now. Tyler Anderson got bumped out. Could maybe look to move Bello in. I haven't decided exactly what I want to do yet. I did go ahead and move Strapidopoulos to AAA, where he's done well in his 3 starts so far. But still not ready to call him up just yet. Karsten Svem, he's... Oh, sorry. This is against left-handed pitching. That would explain part of that. Strapidopoulos still putting up good numbers, though. Landon Robb got moved down to AAA as well, to make room for our pitching acquisition at the deadline. Fernandez, who has actually only pitched 1 inning so far across all of August. I think he just came off the injured list. Right at the end of... I think he's only been on the team for like a week or so. So I'll have to decide what to do there. Also of note, Brent Rooker would not accept a minors assignment, so he is on the major league roster. Currently our starting DH, doing pretty decently well, I'd say. Zapata had gone a bit cold, so I sent him down to AAA because of that, and because I wanted to cross-train him a bit on left field, so I had a bit more options when, making some lineups, since the computer likes to stick them in just one position and leave them there. And so, he's probably a slightly better left fielder than right fielder. So we'll see. In terms of who I'm actually going to bring up to fill this spot, I'm not sure. I mean, Landon Robb's been good in limited sample size. Chris Bourgeois has been good at AAA. He's been good across AA and AAA this year. I wonder if, you know, he deserves a little more time to cook in the minors. He might be a September call up. Boedas. Yeah, I need a starter. So I'll probably just call up someone like Guevara, or I'll need to see. Maybe I've even got someone who's already on the 40 man, so I don't have to use the spot for that. Owen Hall has done okay. Maybe deserves some time at the big league level. Could maybe even see a spot start or two, depending on what we want to do there. DeCaro has been pretty underwhelming so far. Anderson already on the big league roster. Yeah, so that's it really in terms of Rop. I want to leave down there a little bit longer. So I think let's look at AA, see if anyone is absolutely crushing it. Danny Lopez is the closest to being that, but again, I probably want to leave him down here a little bit longer. Yeah, let's just go ahead and call up Owen Hall. I think he's kind of at a point where he can either play at the major league level or not. He's 24, almost 25 years old. Let's bring him up, slot him into long relief for now, and then we'll either have Bello or Anderson be our fifth starter. Or even Dasan Hill, who has pitched well in relief so far. And if you look at FIP, he's actually leading our team in FIP. So maybe we give him a start to see what he can do. Yeah, I mean, why not? Limit him to 85 pitches. Jackson Ferris should be limited as well, and he has not been. So we'll put him at 95 pitches. And Owen Hall will be in long relief. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. I'll be back probably close to September to let you guys know who is going to make our September roster call-ups, which again will be up to 30 at expanded roster. So see you then. All right, so this is, Picro Armstrong 2-week hamstring strain. It is a minimal injury, so he could play through it, but the last thing I want is for that to get aggravated and get any worse. August has gone quite well for us so far. We're now 8 games up in the division, so I am going to play it safe, I think, and just put him on the 10-day IL, especially since in AAA we've got several outfielders doing well. Zapata is already on the 40-man, so I'm going to bring him up. But worth noting, DeLuca, who crushed it last year, was off to a mediocre start for us this year in AAA, also crushing it again. So he may see a call-up in September as well. But Zapata's going to come up for now. And then we've got guys that are good enough defensively to play center field, at least in a pinch. Thinking of Wade Shelley mainly. We'll probably rotate in and be our everyday center fielder until Picro Armstrong's back. So we'll roll with that. Hopefully Zapata's brief stint in the minors will kind of boost him up in the majors. Brett Rooker, if you're curious, has been doing quite well. 160 OPS plus for us so far over 19 games. So, small sample size, but very happy with that at DH. That was pretty much exactly what we were hoping for when trading for him. McFarland, doing quite well for the Blue Raiders as well. Hasn't given up an earned run yet. So the win-win trade, I think, hopefully. Well, not hopefully. We want them to crash and burn. But anyway, we'll see how the rest of August goes. It is now September 1st, which means it's time for September call ups. We're 77 and 58, 7 games in front of the Angels. Doing well. I think, yeah, August was a great month for us. We went 18 and 9, 2/3 winning percentage. Yeah, and right now only the Mariners have a better record than us in the AL, so we would be in line for a first round bye as well, which would be excellent given that we got knocked out in the first round last year. So, yeah, gonna keep doing what we're doing. Just a few things to note. The AL East remains at a dead heat. 3 teams at 72 wins. The Yankees a half game behind because they're 72 and 63, and the Orioles at 68 and 66, still within shouting distance of a wild card spot as well. Although the Rangers seem to be in pole position for that first wild card spot, and only one of those other teams, can make it as a wild card. So, yeah, we'd rather just win the division and not have to deal with that. We could be headed for another fun 3-way tiebreaker scenario potentially. We'll see. But in terms of September call-ups, maybe some surprising things here, maybe not. I don't know. Called up. I did bring Landon Rott back up. He was had a sub-1 ERA across 8 games in AAA. So, that's good enough to bring him back to the show. And then Desan Hill sticking in the rotation for now. He only has had 1 start, but he did well. So we're going to keep rolling with him there. Jackson Ferris, I don't really know what to think. He's back in the rotation. His ERA is really good. His FIP is not. It's actually like okay, but not great. I think there's a lot of good BABIP luck potentially going on for him, as he's got 188. That's super low. Landon Ropp probably, some of the opposite going on with a 417 BABIP, but his FIP isn't great either. Oh, this is against right-handed hitters, but anyway, yeah. So Jackson Ferris, in general, 5.10 FIP, which is not great, but his ERA has been good. The results so far have been good. So we're going to keep sticking with him in the rotation. Come playoff time, if we make the playoffs, I still don't want to assume that's a given. Yeah, he might be our 4th starter. I don't know. It's going to depend. Also, Robbie Snelling had a 3-week injury that turned into an unknown injury length, so hopefully we'll be getting him back in the near future. Cutter Coffee will probably miss the rest of the regular season, but could potentially be back for playoffs. Pico Armstrong will be back in just a few days. So, in the meantime, until he comes back, our lineups. I also brought up Chris Bourgeois, I believe is how you'd say that last name. He's just been doing really well across all levels of the minors. He's maybe still a little raw to be up here, but I'd like to see him get some experience, maybe keep some of these ratings going up. If he fulfills his potential, he could potentially be a closer for us in the future, or at the very least a great setup guy. So we'd like to see him fulfill that. And then Karsten Swem, he's almost 25 years old, and so the ratings don't look bad. The overall's a little low, but I think it's fine to get him some experience here. His numbers at AAA weren't amazing, but again, he was going to be a Rule 5 guy in the offseason anyway, so I might as well, throw him in here, kind of see what he's got towards the end of the season here. You notice I brought 3 pitchers up, which means someone had to go back down, and that someone is Owen Hall, who had been pretty underwhelming so far across, just 2 games, but 2 pretty mediocre relief appearances in those 2 games. So I'm fine with him getting a bit more time in the minors. And then our batting lineups, we brought up Hans Montero to back up the infield. And in fact, I should probably set him to actually back up the infield, although I don't want him at shortstop. But Gian Zapata is back up. The other backup I brought up is Connor Burns, just because Bodine was supposed to be that defense first catcher for us, and he's got a 65 framing, but that hasn't really led to much so far this season. He's only started 38 games, so that kind of limits his potential a bit, but not as good as I would have hoped for from a defense first catcher. So we'll give Connor Burns a little bit of a try. He was already on the 40 man anyway, and he's posted really good fielding stats in AAA. It is AAA, but still, we'll have both of these guys playing every fifth game. Obviously, Drake Baldwin is our starter. He's our everyday starter. This is just kind of to see, who would potentially want to take that spot as the backup catcher. Cooper Kinney has kind of underwhelmed again at the big league level. He's, after a red hot July, he's cooled off a bit. He's, sub 100 OPS. So we'll kind of see how he does to end the year. He could maybe get sent back down even, depending on how things are going. Johnny DeLuca was hot in AAA. I'd like to bring him up too, but he was hurt and is hurt for the next 3 days. I added him to the 40 man just so he is playoff roster eligible, and I did that with a few players that are still in AAA. Cale Fountain was one. Danny Lopez was another who projects to be decent, but still hasn't pitched above AAA. Although I put him in, or above AA, I put him in AAA to end the season. And then the rest of these guys are on the major league roster or injured. So DeCaro was waived. He was playing in like A ball, I think, and has pretty much underwhelmed at every level so far this year. Only 2-star potential. He's 24. Someone claims him, whatever. I don't really care. So other notes, let's see. Brent Rooker has been great still in his fill-in time. Over August for us, he's had a 130 OPS, which is better than he was doing for Vegas. I'm sure the Oakland fans love to see him back in an A's uniform. Keyshaw has done well. He's played at several different positions for us this year. Had significant time at first base, at left field, right field, even a little bit of fill-in time at second base and center. Right now he's my backup center fielder. I do have Wade Shelley in at center field, and he is not hitting well, but I'm okay with that at the moment just for his defense. I'll have to figure out what I want to do once Pete Crow Armstrong is back in the lineup, if that means that Shelley potentially goes, well, he can't go down. He's a Rule 5 pick. But figuring out what to do with the lineups. And as of right now, I'm leaving pitching and lineups the same. If and when we clinch, I might look to rest some guys a bit more. I'll definitely cut in and note that if we do, right now our magic number is 21. So 7-game lead, got to finish the year strong. And hopefully we'll make it into the playoffs again this year. So we'll see how things go. And I'll cut in once I've got any new updates for you. But until then, let's see how things go. It is September 18th. Not too much of the season left. We've been doing pretty well in September so far. 9-7. I'll take it. And we have Robbie Snelling back from injury. He made one rehab start where he, went 92 pitches and has come back up to the majors. Gave up no earned runs in his last start, so just thought I'd update. I've gone to a 6-man rotation. towards the end of the year, because if we look at the standings, we have a now comfortable 10.5 game lead in the division. Still doing well as far as the second best record in the AL. Magic number is 2. So, win 2 more games and we are for sure clinching the division. And I'll start looking to rest some other guys too. Drake Baldwin, all of our big starters, Baldwin, Armstrong, Santana. I'd even include Volpe in there as he's started to come on in September. Let's see his numbers. OPS over 1,000. That's great. Finally kind of starting to settle in. Overall maybe a little bit of a disappointing season, but first year on the new club and first year at a new position, so we'll give him a little bit of a break. But let's see how Houston goes. I'd love to just go ahead and sim this, and we win 8-0 as Gavin Jones goes the full 9 innings, only gives up 1 hit. He, by the way, has for sure been our ace this year. 4.7 WAR, beating out his projected 4.5 WAR for the season with an amazing performance. His ERA went down. He's maybe even in Cy Young contention, potentially. I mean, Minho An is going to be tough to beat with 7 pitcher WAR. My God. I know he was their closer last year, actually, which when I saw his ratings, I was like, yeah, that seems like more of a closer than a starter, but he's working as a starter, it seems like, with 7 pitcher WAR. That's insane. So looks like the Angels did lose their game, so we have officially clinched the division. We are in the playoffs for the second straight year. I'll look to just mainly rest guys down the stretch. Still try to finish the year strong. See if we can get to, I don't know if 100 wins is possible, but definitely keep in, 100 wins isn't possible. But, try to stay in position for that second overall seed and the first round bye. So let's see how the rest of the season goes. And despite going to 6-man rotation, trying to limit the injuries, Robbie Snelling hurt again, out 5 to 6 weeks, which means he will probably miss most, if not all, of the playoffs at this point, probably the entire playoffs. I'll still just put him on the 15-day IL for now. That's not ideal. Calling up in his place, I will bring Karsten Swim back up, and he may even get a spot start in here because I'd like to keep this even. Why not? We'll give him a spot start. These games don't mean too much, so Imanaga went, so Bautista is up next. And we have finished the regular season 92 and 70. I will take that. 90-win season is a great season. Second in the AL in wins. That should give us the first round bye. Let's go through each division briefly here. The Yankees won the AL East. They'll for sure be in the playoffs. The Red Sox won 83 games, did not make it in. The Orioles and Blue Jays are actually tied, and I think we'll go to that tiebreaker game to decide who gets the last wild card spot. The Tigers win the AL Midwest. Every other team was pretty bad this year. Our division, the Angels were decent, and both the D-backs and Raiders were bad. The Raiders did trade us Brent Rooker, so thanks for that. I appreciate it. The Mariners were excellent this year. They're going to be a team to watch in the AL. Austin Killingsworth living up to his name and killing it over very limited sample size. But I'm sure Colt Emerson actually leading their team in WAR. yeah, real life prospect who was drafted in the first round of the 2023 draft. Yeah, he's doing well and got paid. He's signed an 8-year extension for $210 million, so he'll be with them through 2038 for lots and lots of money. But he appears to be worth it for them so far. Although curiously, no Julio Rodriguez. Did he get hurt? Yes, he's out with a fractured hand and will likely miss 3 weeks. That's going to be most of the playoffs. So it's rough for him, especially after having a close to MVP caliber season. Yeah, he still led the AL in WAR despite missing the last 2 weeks of the season. So I mean, he could still win MVP. And then the Rangers obviously grabbed the other wild card spot. Astros pulled it together to do well. I hate to say it, but a lot of the players that we traded to them, I noticed, are doing well. Seems like they kind of got the better end of that trade so far. They're using Sinja as a starter. He's put up 1.7 WAR and almost sub 3 ERA. Montero, they're also using as a starter. He's been doing decent for them. And then, Burkholder, 1 WAR for them. I mean, sub 100 OPS, but again, that compare that to the production we've gotten from Zapata, and it's not. So far, they've gotten the better end of that deal. But Zapata is still only 25, so we will see how that ends up working out. Let's go through our team this season, and then we will sim through the first round of the playoffs and see who we're going to face in the second round. I think I mentioned this before, but Gavin Jones, undoubtedly our ace this year, finished with 5.1 pitcher WAR. That's good for third in the AL. He should hopefully get some Cy Young votes this year. Second in ERA to Minho An, who's probably going to be the favorite to win the Cy Young, I would imagine. Led the league in the AL, at least, in ERA, in wins, in strikeouts, in WAR. Like, he's just a beast. Despite only having 2 pitches, they're 2 really good pitches. Imanaga, I think, started the year kind of slow, finished pretty well. Sub 4 ERA, 3.3 WAR. I'm very happy with that. We have him again under contract, assuming he met his vesting option, and he did. He needed 180 innings pitched. He got to 195. So we're bringing him back. I'm perfectly fine with that. He had a great year. Bautista, I think, ended up starting the year in AAA, coming up. No, he started the year as a reliever for us and then slotted into the starting rotation and finished with a sub 3 ERA for the season. Very happy with his performance. Same with Dasan Hill, who, has only started 6 games for us this season, but there have been 6 really good games, aside from his last one. He was a little shaky in his last start, but, I'm willing to look past that. He's probably going to be the 4th starter in the playoffs. Jackson Ferris fell off a little bit, but has still been really solid. He'll be in the playoff rotation. And then our bullpen, led by Griffin Jacks. He saved 37 games for us this season. I don't know how many saves he blew, but I think he did pretty well. Yeah. Led in Sierra as well, if you care about that. And win probability added. I do like to look at that. Colin Snyder, actually, our best reliever by WPA, with Ryan Fernandez in second place. He didn't put up quite as good of numbers as he did for the Mets, but still really solid overall. Still going to be our setup man. Snyder and Fernandez, both very solid. Correa put up good numbers. Yeah, and got hotter towards the end of the season, good ERA and solid FIP to back that up. He'll be a good middle relief man. Bourgeois, only 11 innings pitched, but sub 1 ERA. We love to see that, especially against lefties. Even better FIP. So I think I'll look to probably put him on the playoff roster and use him as a lefty matchup, especially since his ratings, look incredible versus left-handing pitching. Not as good versus righties, but if there's a tough lefty out that we need to get, or ideally several in a row, he'll be the guy. And then, Ropp came back up and kind of turned things around a little bit. Our bullpen overall was pretty solid. I guess I should look at, we led the AL in starter ERA, bullpen ERA, runs against, third in FIP, fourth in pitching WAR. Pitching was good. And we ended up finishing fourth in batting WAR too, despite kind of middling results in a lot of other offensive categories. Speaking of our offense, let's go. The lineup's kind of wacky now because I was resting a bunch of these guys to end the season. Drake Baldwin, though, led our team in WAR. He's a great trade so far. These guys, it did hurt to lose some of these guys, and I'm sure some of them are putting up probably decent numbers for Atlanta. Torrens back in AAA. That's not ideal for them. Ledbetter was up in the majors, though. He's, okay. Caldwell in AA, okay. And then Dikembe Sanchez in AAA. Did not see time at the majors this year. So far, I think we definitely... Garcia did well for them. It hurt a bit to lose him, but, the production we got from Drake Baldwin more than outweighed that, and he didn't have awful fielding numbers either. I mean, that's, for hitting first catcher, that's perfectly fine, and pretty much in line with what he did last season. I will take it. Pico Armstrong, we traded for him at the deadline. He, improved his OPS. His fielding was still great. Not as good with us as it was with Chicago, but still playing at a really high level. I mean, the offense was also great. I adjusted his stealing numbers too, so he should be stealing more often. I don't know how he only stole 24 bases for the Cubs. He should be a guy stealing, 30 every year, I think. Finished with 35 steals. So pretty good acquisition there, although, obviously we gave up a lot to get him. Cho and Marin, Noth. Did Noth do anything for them? Not really. Anyway, Holman. As Holman, of course, pitched well for them when he did not pitch well for us this year. So, Santana, another good year. Pretty much in line with what he did last year. He missed a few games due to injury. But I think he was third in the AL and ZR still. He's an elite defensive shortstop. Not much to say there. Zapata did continue to hit well, especially considering he started off kind of cold, went down to the minors for a little bit, then came back up and hit well. Volpe finished the year strong with a 911 OPS in September, good for a 152 OPS plus. I will take that. Hopefully he keeps those numbers up as we head into the playoffs. Perdomo ended up finishing with a solid year too, a little bit of a step down from last year, but he's also playing at a less valuable defensive position, playing most of the year at third versus short, where he was playing, I believe, for Arizona, and putting up good numbers at shortstop for them as well. But, we've got Santana and Volpe, so he did not get much time there for us outside of the end of the year when I was trying to rest those guys. And then, Keishel had a solid season. Rooker, OPS went down a little bit towards the end of the year, but still a really solid bat. He'll be on the playoff roster. Shelley, solid backup outfielder, who was a Rule 5 draft pick, still only 24, so still got a little bit of room to improve. In terms of the backup catcher battle, it's hard to say. I know Burns came in and started strong, and then Bodine has just been solid all year. What about fielding wise? I mean, he did okay fielding wise. Probably going to be Bodine just because that's who it was all year. I don't really want to carry three catchers in the playoffs either. DeLuca has a chance to make the playoff roster, I think. He had a great finish to the season. Um, Considering he started the year in the majors and then went down and, yeah, finished with a, I think some of this, no, this was all in the minors. So these 13 games, 914 OPS, 149 OPS plus. So, like, yeah, I'll probably try to find a slot for him on the playoff roster. Um, but yeah, speaking of playoffs, let's see what we've got here as we get our first 2020 player. And that would have been who? Pete Crow Armstrong? Yeah. That's not that surprising. We need to set our playoff roster. I will do that once we know who we're facing. As Bautista won Best Rookie of September. That's great. Playoff coverage. As, yeah, we do get the first round bye. And let's see. I set it to reseed after every round, so we're going to get the better seed of whoever's left in here. Could be the Yankees again. We'll have to just see. Yankees or Tigers are 3-4 with Rangers and the Blue Jays. Looks like they did win. Well, they didn't have a tiebreaker game against the Orioles unless it was on the 30th. Mason Bixby. 85 and 78. Yeah, so this was their game 162 with Toronto winning 5-3 and getting the playoff spot as a result. So, yeah, let's go ahead and sim through the first round of the playoffs. All right, both the Yankees and Tigers win, so I think that means as I'll wait for the actual playoff matchups to show up. No, actually, okay. I thought they would reseed, but so feels like we should get the Yankee. No, the Tigers actually won more games than the Yankees this year. Okay, I didn't realize that. Let's look at the Tigers real quick. Led in pitching by Tariq Skubal, who's still pitching at an ace level. He might, well, he's not going to win the Cy Young because of Min-Ho An, but Min-Ho An, my bad. But he's probably going to finish second. He's their ace. He did pitch against Toronto, so we won't see him in game one at least. This is a 5-game series, so we'll see him at some point in here. Aaron Watson, 23 years old, and did pretty well for them. Christian Scott. Casey Mize has a 7.36 ERA and wrecked injury proneness. Okay. Hopefully we can beat up on him because that's not an ideal fourth starter. Yeah, and then lineup-wise, Riley Green, unsurprisingly, still raking. I think I had toyed with the idea of trying to trade for him at the deadline, but that they were not giving him up for anything. Colt Keith had a great season. Theron Lorenzo, is he... Okay, so they got him as part of the Jack Flaherty trade in 2024, and currently one of their top prospects, and had a great season. Age 27, he's got incredible power, but only hit 22 home runs. Yeah, can play some first base as well. Yeah, it's a dangerous hitter for sure. Ryan Gibson, he's super young and super talented as well. Number 11 prospect in baseball currently. Pack Meadows, Donovan Danny De Andrade. They actually got in a trade with Nashville. So, yeah, he started out in the Twins organization, was drafted by Nashville, and then they traded for Hao Yu Lee, was I think probably a no, he's a real player. Okay, my bad. He is on the Phillies, and then kind of borderline player. It looks like in real life. Let's see. Yeah, hasn't put up any major league numbers so far in 2025, but did decently for Detroit and then for Nashville, put up 2.5 WAR. So anyway, getting lost down a rabbit hole here. Yeah, Detroit looks good. I mean, this is not going to be an easy series by any means. I'll need to figure out who my playoff roster is going to be. Snelling's still out 3 to 4 weeks. What is Cutter Coffee? Only injured for one more day. So he would miss the first game of the series, but I think there's a very real chance he'll be on the roster. He'll look to slot in here somewhere. Yeah, and we're going to go to a four-man rotation as I'll need to figure out my playoff roster, but that will be something for the next episode. So, A's versus Tigers to decide who will go to the ALCS. Looking forward to it. I'll see you guys next time.